In training for a marathon, one thing I've noticed both in my training and in seeing others is that the success of your training block is decided not on race day, but in a lot of small decisions leading up to it. And you may not know at the time if you're making the right call or not until you set up on that start line. Sometimes this can look like you missed a day and so you're adding on to another. Maybe you're running your easy days a little too hard one week. And things like this can be what slows down your training block from you being able to perform the actual race that your body can. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I'm currently training for the Indianapolis Marathon in 2026, and I'm also in the middle of a training block for a local half marathon, the Flower City Half Marathon. So I started looking back at some of my own training blocks, and I started recognizing a pattern that kept emerging. There were a few things that just kept showing up that were raising some red flags, and I noticed that there were these 5 particular patterns that really stood out to me. So if you're training for a half marathon or a marathon and you want to run a fast time, here are 5 simple things that you can avoid doing to make sure that you get the most out of your training block this time around. And before we get into that, if you're currently in a training block, drop down in the comments what race you're running. I'm always curious to see what other races around the world other people are training for. Life happens whether you're training for something or not. And at some point, you're going to miss a scheduled run. It's almost a given. One of the fastest ways that I've seen and I've done myself to get injured is by trying to stack 2 days together because I missed one. Let's say you have a 5-mile run yesterday and you missed it. And today you have scheduled a 6-mile run. So some people would just say, I'll do 11 miles. Doesn't matter. It all adds up. Even though it's 11 miles, that's very different than 2 days separating them versus one long day if you're not prepared for that. So even though your mileage stays the same, the stress on your body is very different. And stress on your body from running, just like anything else, needs time to adapt. Think of the stress as like a compound investment. Your body's going to be compounding stress over the course of whatever training plan that you're doing. So irregardless, it's going to keep adding up. And if you don't take the proper precautions, then you're going to compound that stress quicker and it's going to affect other runs either that week or weeks from then. But even if you never stack a missed run, a lot of runners still significantly slow down their progress or hinder it altogether by how they run their easy runs. Every run in either a half marathon or marathon training plan serves a different purpose. Your long runs build endurance for the distance. Your easy runs build that aerobic stamina that you need. In your interval workouts, they improve speed capacity and your running efficiency. To get the most benefit from your training, each run needs to be done at the right intensity. And one of the biggest mistakes that I'm sure you've probably heard of is that runners are running their easy runs way too hard. Even just being one training zone too high can take away the benefits of that workout. And on the flip side of that, if your long runs aren't long enough, your body won't adapt to what 13.1 or 26.2 really demand out of you. And if your training never includes faster workouts, eventually your running is going to plateau. So remember, each run in your training block serves its own purpose. It's got its own agenda. Each run has a specific job to do. And the better that you respect that, the better your race at the end of your training block is going to be. But even if your training block is structured perfectly, it's not going to work without this next piece. Shh, it's a rest day. I don't think it's a secret. Rest days are by far one of the most important days of the week, if not the most important day of the week, for any half marathon or marathon training block. Recovery days are simple. Your body is adapting and recovering from the training. Most people think that gains are made on the days where you're running fast, but really they're happening when you give your body enough time to rest and adapt to the training that you just put it through. And I'm living proof that if you do not recover properly, all of your training will suffer. And every session moving forward is going to be affected. You're not going to run as fast as you want to during your intervals, and your long runs are going to become long, grueling, and do I have to? If you don't allow enough recovery time, your workouts are going to start to suffer. Fatigue is going to build, and you won't be able to get the true benefits out of the training plan that you work so hard to find. Any marathon or half marathon training block is not about feeling good every day. It's about feeling great on one day, race day. And to get to that start line injury free, you need to take your recovery days very seriously. I know I do. So if you're into marathon content like this, following the ups and the downs of training, consider subscribing because I'm currently documenting my own marathon training while chasing a pretty scary, ambitious goal, the marathon standard, qualifying for Boston. Now, once your training structure and your recovery are dialed in, there's another detail that can make a big difference on race day. Another thing that can make a big difference in marathon preparation, and really any race, is practicing on the actual terrain that your course is going to be on. Before your training even begins, take some time and look up the race and see the elevation chart so that you can see if your race is going to be more flat, more downhill, or very hilly. If your race includes a lot of downhill sections, one thing that you're going to want to do is find a lot of downhill areas or use the decline on a treadmill so that your body can actually adjust and prepare for that type of race. For me, the marathon I'm preparing for is Indianapolis, and it's quite flat. So, as you can see, I'm at a local canal today because that's about as flat as we can get up here. And if you're training for a marathon like the New York City Marathon, that might not be your best choice. You might want to go somewhere a little bit more hilly because the New York City Marathon is quite hilly. Remember, a marathon or any kind of race isn't about that distance specifically. It's also about the terrain that distance is on. So if you're only preparing on flat level surface and your marathon is very hilly or downhill, your legs are really going to feel it later in the race. That I can promise you, because that was a mistake that I made. Training on the specific type of course that your marathon or any race is going to be on is what helps prepare you for the exact demands that you're going to have come race day. But even before race day strategy, there's one huge mistake that I guarantee almost every single runner is making before their training even begins. And the final tip, and this might be the most important, is when do we actually set that goal time for that shiny new PR? One thing that I've heard over and over again is people setting their goal time before their training even starts. And honestly, it's usually better to wait like a month before the race actually is going to happen because your body, even in a few months, can change a lot. Now, I don't say this because I don't want you guys to run as fast as you possibly can. The exact opposite. If you set your goal too high, you might end up injuring yourself in training trying to live up to that potential that maybe your body just isn't at just yet. And on the reverse, you might be setting your bar way too low and never really achieving on race day the potential that you really could. Remember, having a big race goal for the half marathon and marathon is a terrific thing to have. But having an honest timeline about your current fitness is how you're going to achieve that goal when it's meant to be achieved. And that might happen in this race that you're training for right now. Or it may take a race or two. But the good thing is that you're going to get there. You just need to be consistent. Marathon training doesn't have to be complicated. In a way, it can be very simple. Avoid stacking missed runs. Understand that each run and every workout has its own purpose and its own job to do. Respect your recovery days. Train for the actual course you're going to be racing. And set a goal time when the timing is right. If you do these things, you will give yourself the best chance to run the fastest race that you possibly can at that time. And if you want to see how this actually plays out in real time, I'm currently documenting my entire year from my half marathon build for the Flower City Half Marathon and my marathon build for the Indianapolis Marathon and all the races I'm going to do in between in a series where I'm chasing the marathon standard, a Boston qualifier. In this series, some weeks go to plan and I feel great. Others, not so much. So if you want to see if this training actually works come race day, come check out Chasing the Marathon Standard. It's up next.